Hi. Okay, so yesterday I spoke about how your to-do list, your regular to-do list and your healing to-do list and all of that is keeping you in fight and flight, and that being in that state is not conducive to healing. So how your to-do lists are making you sick. Okay, but today I want to still talk about something like that but different. So if you haven't watched yesterday's, just watch it because this is sort of a two-part, even though it's different. Okay, so today I want to talk about how your emotions are keeping you in fight or flight. Okay, how your conflicting emotions are keeping you in fight or flight. And we already know that when we're in fight or flight, that keeps us sick. Okay, because we can't heal. We're on a single track. We're on the bear is chasing us, we must run away. Our body's only capable of keeping us safe and keeping us protected in that moment. So when we're in these chronic states of fight or flight, we can't heal. So what do I mean by your emotional state is also keeping you in fight or flight? So yesterday it was all about the to-do list, all about the outward things, the things that we distract ourselves with, right? The things that we have to get done and we have to do, or we won't be perfect and we won't get it right, right? Today is like our internal state and how that is keeping us stuck and sick and trapped in fight or flight. So when we hate ourselves, when we feel like we are not being a good person, when we feel like something is too hard for us, we hate ourselves, we can't do it, we feel like giving up, we feel hopeless. These states are not our true selves, right? And we hate ourselves when we feel this way. And when we hate ourselves, we're actually creating that adrenaline response in our body. We're keeping the fight or flight activated. Because hate is like one of those emotions that keeps us tense. It keeps our inner being tense. It keeps us on the lookout for danger, right? It's not a loving, natural, peaceful state. So if we try to control ourselves and others, meaning I'm not doing good enough, I'm not being good enough, my relationships aren't the way I want them, right? I feel trapped. I feel like these relationships aren't good. I feel like we're arguing or we're not loving each other or I'm not getting my needs met in some way. That keeps us in fight or flight. Okay? So when you don't feel unconditionally loved and when you don't feel safe in the world, you are in fight or flight. And when you are judging others, trying to control others, tell others what to do, fighting, withdrawing ourselves from each other, when we're dealing with these relationship tactics that we always feel like we're kind of fighting, we're in fight or flight, right? Or we're in freeze, which is even worse. When we're in shutdown mode, we're not healing, okay? So the idea is we want to feel that unconditional love and we want to feel safe, and that's what all this fighting is about. That's where all this relationship turmoil comes from. Oh, they must think this of me, right? They must be thinking this of me. They must not love me. If they loved me, they would do or say this, right? We have that, if they truly loved me, if they truly cared for me, if they truly understood me, right? If I was understood, then they would do this or they would say this because that's how we would react. And when we put that out to other people and they don't live up to our expectations because A, they don't even know them, B, they're a different person, they have different feelings, different emotions, different things that's going on inside them, and then they don't live up to that, we beat ourselves up. I must not be worthy. I must not be lovable. I must not be a good person. I must not be a good wife, a good mother, lovable. I'm not being good enough to them. I'm not loving enough to them. What's wrong with me? Why aren't they giving me what I need? Why aren't they meeting my needs? And when we're constantly feeling this way, and when we're feeling this way all the time, we're in total fight or flight. We're in total fight or flight. And this is basically what's causing our illness to keep going, right? So I wrote down a few things on this sheet of paper about things that I didn't want to miss. So when you feel like you're in conflict with the version of your true self, with the life that you want and the life that you actually have. So when you feel like you're in conflict with that, you are not healing. And I'm going to take a guess that if you're chronically ill, the life that you have is not the life that you want, right? You feel conflicted between the true version of yourself, your soul, your inner being, the way that you would be if all else was right with the world, right? And if you don't feel like you can be that way, it's because you're in conflict with your true self, the life that you truly want, the version of the life that you see when all is well and right with the world and you're healthy and whole and loved and perfect, versus the life that you have where things are in conflict, you're ill, your relationships are falling apart, whatever it is, right? Then you're in conflict with yourself. When you're in conflict with yourself, your fight or flight system is activated and you may not even notice it, because if you get to the point where that you're like this all the time, you're just feeling this way chronically, it's actually reflecting in your body. You're actually feeling sick. So when you don't feel understood, when you don't feel loved, when you don't feel like you are being who you are, you're being your true you, or when you feel like you're not being who you know that you were put here on this earth to be, or who your healthy, best, most loving, wonderful, kindest self, the image that you hold, the attainable self, the self that is you, the pure you that you came to this world to be. When you're not living that self out, you feel in conflict with yourself. And when you're in conflict with yourself, your fight or flight system is activated. And when that's activated, the hormones are going, the cortisol is going, you're not feeling safe, you're not feeling loved, you're not feeling like everything's okay with this world because you're in conflict, inner conflict, and you're not, this is creating the wrong state. It's creating a state for chronic illness, not a state for amazing health and vitality. Okay, so when you also, I wanted to mention this, I wrote this down, when you need to control others. So just like a to-do list, right? I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this with my healing, I need to do this with my day. When you feel like you need to be in control, right? It's because your life is out of control. The more your life is out of control, the more you feel like you need to control it. So we do this with our to-do list, but we also do this with relationships, right? When we try to control others, right, in order to meet our needs, we want to get them to behave in a certain way that makes us feel okay, or that makes us feel good. I want my children to behave quietly, smiling, respectful, being good listeners, all of these things. And when they do that, then I can feel okay in this world because I'm a good mom. They are good kids. I'm bringing out the best in them. This is a loving environment. I'm creating a great home for them. These are going to be great memories. All of these things, right? Fills me up. When they act a certain way, fills me up. So when they're not acting a certain way, when they're melting down, screaming at each other, saying unkind things, being unkind ways, not listening, arguing, talking back, whatever it is, I feel it's that I need to control them even more because it's a conflict. Because what that says about myself is that I'm not being a good mom. I'm not being loving enough. This is not a good environment. Why are things always bad? I feel helpless. I feel hopeless. I feel like I can't control this. I'm failing. I am a failure as a mother. So these are the feelings that it leaves us with. Same with your spouse or your significant other, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your mother-in-law. You want to control them to be a certain way to you. Like maybe you're in a fight with your spouse and you think if they would only say this or do this or hug me, this is what I need. I need them to smile at me. I need them to look at me with more loving eyes. I need them to listen. I need them to throw their arms around me. I need them to make me feel loved and appreciated or safe or whatever it is. And we hold this standard in our mind, like if only they would do this, then I can be happy. If only my mother-in-law would say this, then I can be happy. If only my dad would do this, then I can be happy. If only then I would feel loved. Then I could feel safe. Then I could feel like all is right with the world. Then I can feel good about myself. I can feel good internally. I can feel like my true version of myself matches the reality in the outworld. But when we're trying to control others, just as when we're trying to control ourselves, we're in a state of conflict and we're in a state of fight or flight, and we're causing our bodies not to heal. So I think I've written down, I think I've said everything that I wanted to, writing it down. Yeah. So it's basically like when we have to do certain behaviors to meet a need that we have, and we feel like it's the only way, we end up feeling bad about ourselves. We end up hating ourselves. We end up feeling down on ourselves. We can become quite sad that our reality that we have inside of what we want our relationships to be like with our husband, our children, our family, our friends, what we want our finances to be, what we want our health to be, what we want our day-to-day life to be, what we want our future plans to be. When that feels congruent with the vision that we have for our ideal life, when our life is going in a congruent pathway towards that, then we are healthy and we are happy and we're in a state of okayness. When our version of our ideal life and our idealness that we have for ourselves, truly inside, does not match with our outer world, we're always in conflict of trying to control other people, trying to change ourselves, trying to beat ourselves up, do better, be more perfect, do more. We're fighting more, we're arguing more, we're trying to control more. And these are all states of illness, okay? It's showing us that what we have, our vision for ourselves, doesn't match with what is currently reality. And we feel helpless to it. And the only way that we feel like we can make these two match up is that if we do better, be more, be better, control everybody else to do better, to be more, to be better, and it's false. The only way that this life can match up with this life is if we start acting now out of alignment with what we truly want. So we want a life filled with kindness and no arguments and everybody happy and listening and making good memories and a loving relationship. Then we don't wait for our kids to act this way or our husband to act this way or our family to act this way. We take the lead on that. We act in congruence with the life we want, even if nobody else is acting that way, right? Maybe we do this for long enough, years and years and years, and nothing changes, that we realize that's not the husband I want. Those aren't, I don't want this. I don't want to have family gatherings anymore. This isn't what my life wants to be. But we don't truly know that until, and then we make changes. That's when people make changes on their jobs, where they live, who they're married to, blah, blah, blah. But if we're always acting in accordance to our true nature and what we want for ourselves, what's in alignment with truth and love and health and vibrance and the life that we envision when things are right and feeling safe, my guess is that by acting this way, we will start to feel this way, whether or not this changes. And by acting this way, by getting the feelings that we want when we act this way, these people will also notice that and start to come our way. They will start to act like that too. If you and your husband don't have a loving relationship and you're waiting for him to love you or say the right thing or do the right thing or appreciate you more or hug you more or whatever, and you start to do that for him, appreciate him more, hug him more, love him more, tell him more, suddenly he's either going to stay this guy who doesn't do anything for you, or he's going to notice that he's going to start to do all those same things. It's like a mirror. We mirror, sorry the phone's ringing, but we mirror what we give, what we see, what we want. We can either pull people along our path with us to greatness, and we can all live in this life perfectly together in an ideal world where we feel it. Everything doesn't have to be perfect all the time, but what has to be perfect is we feel like we are living in alignment for the most part with what we want for our life. So if we're living with chronic illness and we're hiding away, feeling bad, talking badly to ourselves, putting pressure on ourselves, filled with shame, not socializing in the world, not traveling, not working on our relationships, not having the life that we truly want, and we're focused on the bad things, we're just going to get more of the bad. So we have to put our focus on where we want our life to go, and we have to bring ourselves out of fight or flight, out of the controlling, out of the self-hatred, out of the critical and the judging and all the bad emotions which create fight or flight in our body and give our body no distance, no chance to rest, to recuperate, and to focus inward, to heal, and to actually do what it needs to do, right? We're in constant running mode. We're in constant defensive mode. We're in constant survival mode over here. Where we want to be is in the parasympathetic state. We want to be in healing mode. We want to be in love. We want to be living in light and joy and happiness and calm and feeling like with a purpose and feeling like our life matters and that we're on the right path and that things are going to be okay. And even if they're not, that we feel like we're going somewhere. We feel like we're going somewhere that is going to be okay. We feel like we're moving in the right direction. All we have to do is feel like we're moving in the right direction, and suddenly we feel safe. Our fight or flight response can get turned off. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if we feel like we're in the right place, the people around us love us, that we feel safe, we feel like we're moving in a good direction for the vision that we want for our life, then we can be okay with that. Then we can love ourselves and we can love our life, and our bodies respond accordingly. So yesterday again was all the outward controlling that we do, and today is all the inward controlling that we do, and all the things that we place on ourselves that also create the fight or flight response. So it's both, and we have to really realize that in order to heal. And I truly believe that both of these things broken down are what keep us sick, what keep us stuck. Sure, there might be other things like diet and toxicity and all these things that we do have to focus on. I will make more videos on that. It's crucial and important, but if we don't get this right, if we don't get these two last videos that I said right, calming the fight or flight response and loving ourselves, making ourselves feel safe, and doing things that are in congruence with healing and health, then no matter what we do on the other side of it with the diet and the toxicity and the baths and the body work and all the gadgets and gizmos and protocols, none of that will ever work, because if we're constantly in survival mode, the body just biologically can't heal. It just can't. So we have to get this right first, and then the modalities add to everything and our protocols add to it. If we're doing the protocols and we're skipping this, we're spinning our wheels. We're year after year after year. Why aren't I healing? I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything right. Well, this is why. This is why. Focus on this. I know it's hard because I know it's easier to focus on the outward things, but focusing on this and changing your behaviors, really taking a good look at yourself, all your to-do lists for your daily life, all your to-do lists for your healing protocols, and all your inner conflicts and all the ways that you keep yourself in fight or flight. And I think you'll be surprised, and I think you'll have a lot of changes to make. And these are good changes. These are beneficial changes. These are changes that are actually going to manifest in changing and helping to heal yourself. This is what you're missing. If you keep looking, what am I missing? This could be it.